Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw Tips and Tricks. Didn't really mean to make this, but the person I'm trying to help asked a question and then gave me a pretty good hint. Instead of using the parallel dimension tool over and over to measure, especially in a plasma cutter, that needs to be at least 1/4 of an inch, so that's 0.26. He suggested, and it makes a lot of sense, make a ellipse like 1/4 of an inch or whatever size you want, and you can measure stuff without really, worrying. So those four are like perfect. The other question he had was how he could set his line thickness. And you can double click here. I always find it easier to hit F12 and go to graphic. And then we're going to set it on 1/4 of an inch. And we could actually do two things. We could do round end caps. But now when we say if we wanted to redraw this line, we could just take our 2-point line and just draw from there to there, and it's going to make a 1/4 inch line. So you could get away. It's pretty smart to get away from making those nodes. Now, if this needs to be thicker, you could make it thicker, and you could always make it thicker after you do it. But he also, act like around the 3-point curve line, which really in this case, there's not too many 3-point curves. I mean, there's little bitty ones if you were drawing them. But if you wanted to get the 3-point curve line and go from there to there, put a little curve on it. And if you had, see, it's going to be that size. Then if you take your 2-point line and grab that node and put it there. So now you have a line. So that's a pretty good thought. And then what I was thinking, if you wanted this to have round end caps, hit F12 on your keyboard and go right here to end caps and pick round end caps. And then when you draw this and try to stay in the middle, we're going to get the 2-point line. So it's going to save you some time of doing things. It didn't make round end caps. Let's try that again. Hit F12, graphic, round end caps. I must not have clicked OK. So let's just draw it again. Take your 2-point line and let's just draw one over here. You see now you have round end caps. So that would save you a lot of time. Now for him, let's just, let's delete this. And it would help probably to ungroup it. And let's take away that line. And let's just redraw that line. And if you wanted it perpendicular, you would start drawing it, start moving, then hold down the control button. And that way you can't get off. And you got round end caps. Now to make that a cuttable line, you need to go to Object, turn the outline to an object, and then left click and right click. Wow. Oh, need to make it a hairline. And then left click, right click. Says, because I'm drawing with 1/4 of an inch. So you'd have to go back and make everything a hairline. So let's just draw this one right here. Now this one doesn't have round end caps. So we're going to hit F12 on the keyboard and take off the round end caps. And we'll see what we can do here. Let's just kind of redraw this. Well, I didn't set it to 1/4. Well, it should still be on 1/4 of an inch. Yep. So just take this. And of course, this one's thicker than 1/4 of an inch, but you could change it. And then make it, go to Object, turn the outline to an object, left click, right click, turn it into a hairline. And now you have that same thing with round end caps. And I'm pretty sure you could just grab these top 2 nodes and start holding down the control button. Doesn't do a good job, but if you deleted those nodes. So really on the round ones, it would probably be easier just to trace it like he said. But I still think my way yesterday with aligning the nodes. So a lot of this he could do. I put all round end caps, but definitely all these lines you could draw like we did before. And I don't think drawing these body parts are going to help you unless you drew it in here. You know, if you drew the space in here to make it, I kind of hope that makes sense. I do like this idea of measuring, and see, that way you know that line's a quarter. You've got a little bit more than a quarter. You've got almost a quarter spacing. And I'm not saying he has to use a quarter. You could use, you know, 0.3 of an inch. I'd also make that line a hairline and go ahead and make it red so it kind of sticks out. So that's less than a quarter of an inch. And by doing that, you could set your nudge factor on something pretty low, like 0.01. And if you had to make it a quarter inch, you could move that, make sure you have the four-sided cross, and then we could grab that node or that line and move it down so it's a quarter of an inch. Of course, he'd have to, do all of them. And if you ever needed to, well, let's just take another, well, let's make a duplicate of that one, and we'll move it down here and say we're pretty good. We still got space. But let's say it was, well, let's just take this for an example. If you take that and we really want to move it up to there, you could click on this and make your height, let's go 1.2 and see how it, of course I had my ratio locked. So unlock your ratio so it only make it big in that one dimension. And then that way you've got a quarter inch between there. And of course you would want to have already measured this one. And, being over a little bit of a quarter of an inch wouldn't hurt you. Anyway, so a good idea from him, and I hope that, so whenever you set your line, just hit F12, gives you your graphic. And, I've got it, I'm going to set mine back to hairline. I'm going to set mine back to RGB red because I like drawing in red, because most of the time I draw is cut lines. Not that big a deal, but I hope to help somebody, and thank you for watching.